What's one of the most important things that will stop or make your awakening so you can come home to that enlightened place really fast? It's called honesty. So I'm Jason for AwakenedEssence.com. The term honesty is it's quite a tricky concept, and in this role, its role in awakening you, to assisting you with your practice, for you to know the truth, comes down to this principle of honesty. It really is literally a multiplier of 0 to 100%. And it doesn't necessarily mean you're lying to yourself if it's at 0%. So I'm going to explain this one because it's a little bit tricky, but it really has a massive impact on your capacity to come home and abide, to live in that awakened, enlightened place. And enlightenment here being defined as your capacity to instantaneously be here in this moment, being aware of the space and the nothingness that your true identity is. It's, in my case, it's not a Jason, but that nothingness I know is the core of me because it never changes. It might feel better on some days than others because I'm more in touch with it, but it never changes. I know that's the core of who I am when I'm having a really crap day, be that physical pain or something's happening with my relationships or work or you name it. Okay? It's always there, instantaneously, even before I think about it. I know it's there. I would know it was there if I had my arms, in the same way you would if you had your arms and legs cut off. So that place of abidance happened because I did certain things. And these certain things are what I now call the laws of grace. What is it that will make it fast for you if you want to truly awaken, if you truly want to be in touch with the infinite peace, stillness, bliss, joy, happiness, giggles, all the yummy things that you are, regardless of where you are, regardless if you're having a good day or a bad day, or a good moment or a bad moment, or a good 6 months or a bad 6 months. It's pretty simple. It comes down to you being aware of the space and what's before that space. So you can do this simply by practicing presence, and we'll just do it now. Being aware of your hands, being aware of your backside, being aware of your calf muscles. Now, if you can't hold those 5 areas in your consciousness as you're listening to this, watching this, with practice you will master it. It is a process and it is a practice. That's why I say it's definable and measurable, and you can literally chart how many months or years or centuries it will take you based on the laws of grace. From those body parts, hands, backside, legs, there is a space, isn't there? Can you feel inside your body? Can you feel the tensions, the warmth? Can you feel your blood pulsing? Can you be aware of, like for me, the wind, the breeze is going that way, so I can feel that on this side of my body? Are you aware of the space that your body is in, that is your body, but also outside of your body? Like the space of the noisy miners that are just calling over there. The helicopter or some sort of machine over there. Can you be aware of these things in your own environment? Where are your noises coming from? Notice that space. And be aware of your calf muscles at the same time. Keeps you anchored in your body. And your body is your sensing mechanism for who you are. That's why being grounded is so important. It doesn't count if you're doing it in your head. So this is where honesty actually becomes really important. How do you know your practice is real? You'll learn this by practicing and noticing the differences over periods of time. You do that by listening to teachers and trying out what they say and finding ones that work. So what I say is you be aware of the body and do it through your bag of meat, so you're not stuck in your head. People that follow certain teachings get lost in those teachings. So people that follow Advaita or teachings of the Buddha get quite lost in their head. What are the 7 precepts? Well, who cares? Are you aware of your calf muscles still? And your hands and the space that you are and the nothingness that you are while you talk about the 7 precepts? That's what counts. Your knowledge of it or how to apply it is no good unless you are applying it. Because who you are can't be known, but can only be experienced. And as you come to the practice, you come into the a customization of the inner spaces, the inner peace, the inner stillness, the resourcefulness, the light, the love, the joy, the giggles grows as that stabilizes in your life. And that is the path into enlightenment. And then when it hits and it doesn't leave you, it's a big shock. And it takes 5 years minimum if you were fast getting there and really applied yourself. The rules change, and then you still have to apply yourself in a different manner. So the concept of honesty is critical for you to check in. Am I truly practicing, or am I just doing it in my head? Oh, I'm thinking space. Oh, I read the Power of Now once and yes, I'm there. No, that's not it. So how are those calf muscles and the hands and the space that you are? And under all of that, is there an inner nothingness that glows out to eternity? As you spend more time being with your true inner stillness, your inner peace, which has joy and bliss and all that other stuff happening in there, as you spend time with it, you become accustomed to it. And it does take time. It's very linear in some respects. You have to spend time there getting used to it, learning how to wash the dishes with it, having a shower, going to the loo, driving, watching TV or videos. Can you feel that space inside your torso, your chest, as you're watching this? It's like you have to be aware of all these things at the same time, and that is where the laws of grace come in, because it's a practice. Your awareness grows, your capacity to be conscious of this grows as you do it. So are you self-honest enough to be aware of the nuances of these layers to who you are? If you're kidding yourself that you're practicing just because you're thinking about practice or you're thinking about a teaching, if you're classing that as actual practice, then you're lying to yourself and it won't work. You will not come home in 5 years or less. That's why the laws of grace, I say, 5 years, 2 to 4 years to mid non-abiding, which is still at the conscious practice phase. It's not automatic and it's not permanent, but you've done most of the work. You'll have a capacity to hold your stillness and your presence while a number of the emotions come through. And that will build. So as you practice these things and you get more defined, your capacity to be honest with yourself grows. But if you're not being honest with yourself, then you might be doing incorrect practices. You might not be willing to actually be self-critical, to self-evaluate. That's why mentoring is a good idea. Because someone who's living in that place can see where your gaps are. And then when you get pissed off about it, do you still stick with the mentoring, or do you just keep that part hidden which stops your awakening. People really hate it when I say that they're in their mind with this stuff. They hate it with a passion. All of a sudden they stop. Why is that? Because they're not prepared to be self-honest. I had a particular teacher who had a lot of strong agendas and damaged a lot of my friends. But he said certain things about me and I watched them, and he was quite true. What he said was very accurate at how I was lost in my head. And to get out of there was extremely hard. But that self-honesty to genuinely just keep looking did take 2 years, 3 years for me to get out of being locked up here, so it came more into my body. And then I did literally awaken permanently. Within 1 or 2 years of that. Only took me 5 years in totality to do it, from when I learnt or read Eckhart Tolle's Power of Now and started the practice of presence. So if I did it in 5 years with agendered guidance and just what I knew from listening endlessly to Eckhart Tolle's work, then you can do it too. But what's in this website defines it more clearly, so you can cut that down. The only thing you need to be aware of is how self-honest am I about my practice? How self-honest am I about defining how grounded I am in my body as I practice? How honest am I when I have that thought, ooh, am I here? Do you grunt in and do the practice, even if it's for half a second? When you're at work and you're busy doing stuff and you're relating to people, you don't have the luxury of sitting down for a quarter of an hour and indulging. You can do it when you're travelling to work, or wherever you're going, down the hallway to the photocopier to go and pick up the child, when you're peeling the potatoes, putting on the kettle, you can click in. It's one of the other laws of grace, repetition, entry, 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 the habit of always checking in. How's the calf muscles, your backside and your hands in that space? How honest are you about that? So the capacity to be honest with yourself is for you to be really brutally clear. How defined am I in this practice? How much do I know this? How much do I work at this? To say you want it, everybody wants to feel good. Everybody. The birds and the animals and everything else included want to feel good. But what are you doing about it? So what is the action? What is the actual outcome? Be honest. Could you actually apply your practice more? This is quite an unpopular message, because as humans we're actually quite lazy. And then once we get through the laziness, even if we're determined, there's all of that unconscious crap we've got to work through, the habits of not being present. Humans don't have the habit of being present. So you have to grow it. It's along these lines of, let's pretend your life is where it is right now, and all of a sudden you want to go, I want to go to the Olympics and get gold. Right, you've got 4 years to train, because let's pretend the Olympics are just finished. And you want to get gold at the next one. What have you got to do? You've got to do some hardcore training, seriously hardcore training. You've got to get your head straight, you've got to get your emotions straight, you've got to get your focus straight, you've got to get your body in shape, you've got to learn to master those moves in such a way you are world class. That's why you can also reach enlightenment in 4 years if you were that dedicated. Ask Roger Federer what effort and focus he puts in to being one of the best tennis players that's ever been on this planet. And he's old now. He shouldn't be winning Grand Slams, but he still is. So what about him? What is it he's doing? How honest is he about everything he does? To be such a fantastically elite athlete at his age, and consistently to have as much as he has. It's not spiritual, But I'm sure if he applied himself to God, he's pretty amazing. I've seen him a couple of interviews recently because I actually watched him win one of his recent Grand Slams here in Melbourne. It's like, wow, this guy's got it. If you were to do that, the thing with awakening and the enlightenment process is anybody can do it. I'm not one of these believers that it's only people that are old souls or whatever. No, you just got to learn the habit to be present until you become accustomed to it. And then you live from that place and it deepens and becomes more richer. So how honest are you? So if I ask you to feel your hands and your calf muscles, how quickly can you do that? As we hear the miners go off in unison. As you practice this, as you learn to have a greater sense of acuity, your honesty with yourself around these things gets more crisp. That's why I say it's definable. Can you hold this while you're driving? Can you hold this while you're having an argument? Who's angry when you're angry? Your personality is. But you can still be aware of your nothingness. Your true identity. Doesn't mean you're not going to get angry. Angry is the desire that something's not right. To change something, to get clarity. It's very, very useful. But can you be conscious while it's happening? The emotions are your messenger. Just because you're having them doesn't mean you're not aware of your nothingness at the same time. And with practice you will master that. You will know what I'm saying is true. So being aware of your hands. Feeling the space. And actually feel inside and decide how honest you want to be with yourself about your practice. Doesn't matter what anybody else's practice is like. Doesn't matter what your teacher's practice is like. Are you applying it? Are you doing it? Are you then being honest enough to see the results in your life? Almost doing it like Donald Trump. That will then end up with results. And the results will be your capacity to hold your stillness and your presence regardless of what is going on. You will notice your reaction to ching, come back to your presence and your stillness and that nothingness. When things start to happen, particularly the negative things, it's just like, I want to get back to what's nice. It's a human reaction. So the nothingness feels awesome, right? I'm sure you must have had some taste of it, otherwise you wouldn't be here watching this. But as your practice grows, when the tough stuff comes along, you naturally want to avoid the pain. So you go towards who you are. Which means you're actually more in the moment and you actually get to experience the full horribleness of what's going on. Be that physical pain, emotional pain, spiritual pain, but you know that holding it and being aware of your nothingness, which is okay with it, means it will transmute the fastest. When you have that clarity of yourself, of your space and your nothingness, you can sense the beliefs, the behavior patterns, and the associated chemicals with those emotions and belief systems going through your body. You become conscious. You can have bliss and severe pain at the same time. That's measurable. And the only person that can be measurable to is yourself. So whether you believe me that's true or not is irrelevant, because I know from my own self-honesty that that's how it is. Otherwise I wouldn't be doing these videos. So delve in and fish around and feel out how honest you are with yourself and how honest you truly want to be. It is the one thing that will really, really bring you home fast. Being aware of the space, of your nothingness, your everythingness, the who you are-ness, is a multiplier to your practice. The whole practice thing is a whole mathematical equation in itself, and that's part of the Laws of Grace workshop. But without honesty, none of it counts. And by honesty, it comes down to you being honest to yourself only. What a teacher says, what you say, what you think about your teacher or this person or that person is totally irrelevant, because you don't know how honest they are with themselves. So being aware of the space that you are. Notice how frequently I pull you back into being aware of the space during these videos, helping you to build that momentum. Once you realize you are that nothingness, then you've got to learn how to be a human being all over again. That's a lot of fun. It's a lot more fun. So being aware of the space. Choose to be honest about how much solidity, the stillness, the nothingness, the space is inside your physicality. That'll get you out of your head. It's fundamental. And only you can measure that for yourself, and only you can have the true desire to have that for yourself. So let me know your thoughts on this one. There's actually a lot of topics I may have covered in that video, and I might do more. But honesty is really the groundwork. It's got nothing to do with your character and in terms of whether you're a truthful person to everybody else or not. It's how honest you are with yourself inside. How defined can you be? You actually have to want to see it. You have to want to see the ugly truth of when you're not practicing. To actually choose to dig in a bit deeper instead of just floating off on the surface. Do you truly want to come home, down, in? Do you do that? Yes or no? 60%? 80%? 25%? Be honest. Put it in your diary. And you will tune your honesty. You tune it. It tunes, you become more sensitive, you become more defined about your feeling states, your states to connect in with all of this. It becomes measurable, very measurable, and you notice these changes through the cycles of good days, bad days, good months, bad months, when your body's good, when your body's bad, how you handle it when you're sick. It's a muscle that grows. You can get gold medals at the next Olympics if you apply yourself. The Olympics of Enlightenment. It's that easy, that fast. 4 years if you really, really nut it and you're actually truly honest and you get your practice right. But that's where the honesty comes in, you see, because you're monitoring, you're defining, you're being brutally raw about yourself in terms of, is this working? Was I applying myself right? Then give yourself feedback or get some mentoring from someone that knows about it. You can do it. I did it. If I did it, anybody can do it. But I wanted it. So in terms of honesty, how much do you want it? Who really wants to actually truly be enlightened? Because if you truly wanted it, to use Nisargadatta's term, if you were truly earnest about it, it's a fast journey. And if you're watching this video, you already know how to do it, because I take you through it in all the videos. And it's grounded in your physicality. Then as you stabilise there, it becomes more and more grounded, more and more embodied. So that's honesty. Was that what you thought I'd talk about? Any questions? Send them through. If you want assistance with your practice or feedback, make contact, come into mentoring. It's that simple. So I'm Jason for AwakenedEssence.com.